What would you do if life shattered your dreams in a single moment? Imagine training for years, only to fall in front of everyone, humiliated and broken. This is not just a story about running. It's about courage, pain, and the power of standing up when the world expects you to stay down. Meet Arav, a boy whose life changed in a heartbeat, but whose spirit refused to give up. His journey will make you question, do we truly lose when we fall, or only when we stop rising? This is the story of the courage to rise again. Arav had always been known as the boy who never stops running. From the moment he could walk, he ran. Through narrow alleyways, across dusty fields, and under the scorching sun, his feet seemed to carry a rhythm no one else could match. Every morning, before the sun had even risen, Arav's sneakers would hit the cracked concrete of the small neighborhood track. He wasn't born with fame, wealth, or privileges. His home was small, modest, with peeling paint and a garden that rarely saw water. But it was filled with love. His mother, a woman of quiet strength, would rise before dawn, preparing his breakfast with a smile, even when her hands were raw from work. "Run, Arav! Run like the wind," she would say, handing him a piece of bread and a sip of tea. And he did, every day, as if running itself were the answer to every question life could ask. At school, his classmates watched in awe as Arav sprinted faster than anyone else. Some teased him, calling him obsessive. Others admired him, whispering, "He'll go far." But for Arav, running wasn't about the applause, it was freedom. When his feet pounded the earth, all doubts, fears, and worries melted away. He dreamed of becoming a champion one day, of standing on a podium, hearing his name shouted into the wind, seeing his mother's proud smile, and proving that even a boy from a small, forgotten neighborhood could rise to greatness. Every bruise, every scrape, every fall along the way only fueled him further. Avery's determination was more than ambition. It was a fire that refused to die, a promise to himself that no matter the obstacles, he would keep moving forward. The day of the big race had finally arrived. Arav's heart pounded in rhythm with the cheering crowd, a mix of excitement and nervousness surging through him. The sun shone brightly, illuminating the track where champions had once run, and now it was his turn. He had trained for this moment for years. Every early morning, every sore muscle, every aching foot had led him here. He tightened his shoelaces one last time, took a deep breath, and positioned himself at the starting line. The whistle blew, and Arav surged forward with all his might. The wind rushed past him, his legs pumping like pistons. For a few glorious moments he felt invincible. His dream was within reach, and nothing could stop him. Then, disaster struck. A misstep. A stumble. Arav fell hard onto the track, scraping his knees and elbows. The roar of the crowd turned to gasps, whispers, and laughter. Competitors ran past him without hesitation. He tried to get up, but the pain and shock froze him. In that moment, it felt as if the world had stopped. The humiliation weighed heavily on his chest, and doubt seeped in like cold water. Was all his effort worthless? Was he not meant to succeed? Tears burned in his eyes, but no one noticed the boy who had fallen. The race ended, and Arav limped to the sidelines, defeated not only by the track, but by the judgment of everyone around him. His classmates snickered, coaches shook their heads, and even strangers whispered as they passed. For the first time, Arav questioned everything he had believed in. Could he rise from this? Or had his dream ended before it even truly began? After the race, Arav retreated into silence. The cheers and laughter of others felt like echoes from another world, one he could no longer enter. He stayed in his room for hours, staring at the cracked walls, replaying the fall in his mind over and over. Every step he had trained for seemed meaningless now. Every bruise, every early morning, every drop of sweat gone in a heartbeat. His friends tried to reach out, but Arav pushed them away. "I don't want to talk," he muttered, voice low and tight. The shame weighed on him, pressing him down like an invisible hand, and he couldn't escape it. That evening, his mother quietly entered his room, carrying a small cup of tea. She didn't scold, didn't lecture, just sat beside him. Her eyes were gentle but firm, full of a wisdom that only comes from facing life's hardships herself. "Arav," she said softly, "falling is not the end. Refusing to rise, that is the real defeat." Her words lingered in the air, weaving through his fear and self-doubt. He looked at her, really looked, and saw the countless struggles she had faced and overcome silently, without complaint. His mother's calm strength became a mirror, showing him that courage isn't about never failing. It's about choosing to try again, even when every part of you wants to give up. For the first time since that humiliating fall, Arav felt a spark ignite inside him. Not the blind optimism of victory, but a quiet, fierce determination. He clenched his fists, took a deep breath, and whispered to himself, "I will rise. I will try again." That night, sleep came differently. Not as an escape from failure, but as a promise to himself. A promise that he would face the track again, no matter how many times he fell. Arav had been broken, yes, but for the first time, he realized that being broken was not the end of the story. It was merely the beginning. The next morning, Arav woke before dawn. The sky was still draped in navy blue, and the first birds had just begun their morning songs. Pain from the fall lingered in his knees, but he didn't hesitate. He laced up his worn-out shoes and stepped onto the quiet track, the world still asleep. Every stride was a reminder of the past, the fall, the laughter, the doubt. Yet with each step, he pushed it aside, turning pain into determination. He ran until his legs burned, until sweat soaked his shirt, until his lungs demanded he stop. And still, he ran further. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Arav's training was relentless. Early morning runs, strength exercises, sprints, and stretches became rituals. He faced blistered feet, aching muscles, and the gnawing voice of doubt whispering, "You'll never be good enough." But he also discovered something extraordinary. Each challenge, each failure, strengthened him in ways he had never imagined. His legs grew stronger, his endurance deepened, and his mind became sharper. The world hadn't broken him, it had forged him anew. Still, the memories of that humiliating fall haunted him. Every time he stumbled, fear threatened to paralyze him. He had to fight not only the physical pain, but the mental shadows of shame and insecurity. And each time he did, he grew bolder, more resilient, and more determined. His mother watched from afar, offering quiet encouragement, her pride evident but never overbearing. She knew the real victory wasn't in winning races. It was in the courage to face fear, to rise after failure, and to keep moving forward when every part of the world whispered, "Give up." Slowly, Arav transformed. The boy who once trembled after a single fall became a young athlete of remarkable resilience. His spirit, like a flame, burned brighter than ever. And as he trained under the rising sun, he realized the truth that would carry him through every race. It is not the victories that define you, but the strength you show when you refuse to be defeated. The day of the championship had arrived. Arav stood at the starting line once again, but this time he felt different. The fear of failure still lingered, but it no longer controlled him. He had trained relentlessly, fought through pain, and faced every doubt that had tried to stop him. Now he was ready, not just to run, but to prove to himself that he could rise no matter what. The whistle blew, and Arav surged forward. His legs pumped with power, his lungs burned, but his mind was calm and focused. Each stride was a victory over the shadows of his past, over the whispers of doubt, and over the memory of that humiliating fall. Midway through the race, Arav stumbled. For a brief moment, time froze, and the old fear threatened to take hold. But this time, he did not falter. He gritted his teeth, pushed through the pain, and rose stronger than before. Every step from that moment on was fueled by courage and determination. The crowd roared as he neared the finish line. Faces blurred, but he only saw one image clearly. His mother, standing at the sidelines, her eyes shining with pride and love. That sight carried him forward like wings beneath his feet. And then, with one final surge, Arav crossed the finish line first. He had done it. Not just for the medal, not just for the cheers, but for the boy who had once fallen, for the courage to rise, and for the promise he had made to himself. Tears streamed down his face as he looked around. realizing that true victory wasn't the applause or the podium. It was the unyielding strength to stand up when the world expected him to stay down. Arav had learned the ultimate lesson. Life will break you, humiliate you, and test you in ways that seem impossible. But courage, perseverance, and the will to rise again can turn every fall into a stepping stone toward greatness. He had fallen, he had suffered, but he had risen. And in that moment, Arav became unstoppable.